Hey everyone, welcome back to another guide on creating your Five Nights at Freddy's game using Scratch. In today's video, I will walk you through how to set up the camera system. You will learn how to display different views of the building, along with buttons that allow you to navigate between them. In the previous tutorial, we created the monitor and the buttons to turn it on and off. Now that we've tackled the hardest part, it's time to move on to displaying the cameras. But before we jump into that, let's test our game to make sure there aren't any lingering glitches. As you can see, we've encountered our first glitch. This occurs because there's a small error in our code that causes the hallway costume to appear when the monitor is up. Fortunately, it's an easy fix that will only take a few seconds. If you're experiencing this glitch, follow along with the steps in the video. If not, feel free to skip ahead. The glitch has been fixed, and it was a quick and easy solution. Now, let's begin creating our cameras. First, I'll head back to our screen UI sprite and adjust the outline to the lowest setting to make it look cleaner. Once that's done, we'll create a static flash effect. This will act as a transition whenever we flip up the monitor or switch between the camera buttons. It should be made up of just 5 costumes. The scripts for this sprite are simple. All we need to do is have the static flash appear for just a few milliseconds to create the desired effect. We'll use this code when the night starts or when the monitor flips up. Our monitor now has a smooth transition when flipped up, and this effect will also occur when you press play in the main menu. The next step is to create our camera buttons, which will each display a specific view. In this video, I'll be making 11 different camera buttons, as that's how many there are in the original Five Nights at Freddy's game. However, you can add as many cameras as you'd like. The first part of our code is crucial. I'm adjusting the X and Y coordinates to position the button exactly where it needs to be on the map. You'll need to do this for each camera button you create, ensuring that each one is centered in the correct spot on the map. Now, let's create the code for our camera buttons. The script will involve creating a new variable which we'll call camera view. This variable will store the value of the camera that's currently selected. When a button is clicked, the variable will be updated to reflect the camera number associated with that button. For instance, if the camera 1A button is clicked, the camera view variable should be set to 1A. This will allow the game to differentiate between each camera display based on the value of the variable. Using the variable we created, we'll write a script that will select the appropriate camera based on which button is pressed. This is exactly why we needed a variable for the different camera buttons, so the game can recognize which camera was clicked and display it accordingly. After creating the script for our first camera button, let's return to our loading script and set the camera view variable to 1A. This ensures that when the game starts, the camera will already be focused on the stage where the animatronics are located. This next step isn't difficult, but it can be time-consuming. We'll be creating the other camera buttons by duplicating the existing ones and updating the values in the code. For the variable, simply change its value to match the camera's number. Feel free to follow along in the video if you need any assistance. And don't forget to adjust the X and Y coordinates to position the buttons where you want them on the map. Great, our camera buttons are now working as expected when clicked. I hope this didn't take you too long to set up. Remember, you can always refer back to my code if you need to double check and make sure everything is set up correctly. It looks like we've encountered a small issue. It looks like the hitbox to turn off the monitor is overlapping with our camera button. Thankfully, this is an easy fix. All we need to do is move the hitbox to the left side rather than having it cover the entire bottom. This will ensure we can use the camera buttons without accidentally closing the monitor. Another common issue is the screen interface covering your camera buttons. If this happens, simply go to the sprite and ensure it's positioned in the back layer. I've already fixed this issue, so it won't be a problem for me. Now, let's move on to the actual cameras. I've already created them in advance, as showing the process would stretch the video to several hours. Be sure to name your sprites based on the camera they represent. This will help keep things organized and make it much easier to identify which camera is which when we're coding. Let's begin with the scripts. The first thing I'll add is some left and right movement when viewing the cameras. Next, we'll move on to the crucial script that makes our camera display change based on the button we press. This is why it's important to name our costumes, so we can easily identify which part of the building we want the camera to show when a button is clicked. We've completed our camera setup. Now, when you press the corresponding button, the camera view should change. If your camera isn't displaying the correct view, double check the code to make sure the variable matches the selected costume. If that doesn't solve the issue, go back to your camera button stripes and verify that the variable value matches the value in your camera sprite. The next step is to add a title for each of our cameras. Just like in the original game, we'll display the name of the camera we're viewing. We'll be doing the same thing here to keep it consistent. Here's a small but effective detail I recommend. You might notice that my kitchen camera is still moving even though there's no camera display. To fix this, simply copy the text from the camera sprite, delete it, and then paste it into the kitchen title sprite. This will prevent the camera from moving when you select the kitchen view. This next step is straightforward. Simply drag the code from your camera sprite to the camera title sprite, then change the title's costume to match the camera you're currently viewing. If you run into any errors, like I did in the video, feel free to revisit your script to troubleshoot. Once everything is set up and the scripts are in place, let's restart the game and carefully test everything. This will give us the chance to check for any errors or things we might have missed along the way. It's always a good idea to go through the game once more to ensure everything is functioning smoothly before moving on. It looks like we're missing one last thing for our camera setup, the static effect. Luckily, this is an easy fix. All you need to do is duplicate the static effect from the main menu and adjust the code so it activates when the monitor flips up. To prevent the static effect from overlapping with our buttons, make sure to set your camera buttons to always stay in the front layer. This will ensure we can access them easily without any overlap issues. Once you're done, head back to your project and give it a test. Congratulations, we've successfully created our cameras. This process was a bit easier than the last guide, but there's still a lot more to cover. I hope you've made it this far in the series, and stay tuned because we've got plenty more to go. In the next tutorial, we'll be diving into the AI for our animatronics. Since each character has its unique attack pattern, I'll be breaking it down into 2 parts. I would like to give a massive thank you for helping me reach 100 subscribers. It is an honor to be making these guides knowing you're all enjoying and following along. Thanks for joining me today, and I'll see you next time for another guide.